What's going on, people? It's Aaron Cantu coming in for Cantu's Corner, where we talk about upcoming fights, past fights, and some of the hottest topics in the world of boxing. Today I'm just going to give my review on the weekend that just happened. I was in Dallas, Texas this past weekend to cover the Golden Boy card, which had Vergil Ortiz as the main event against Antonio Orozco, and it was an electric night, and I was there firsthand to witness it. Now, in the main event, Vergil Ortiz stopped Antonio Orozco in the 6th round to stay undefeated and improve to 14-0 with 14 knockouts. He stopped every one of his opponents. But going into the fight, Orozco seemingly was going to be his toughest test, considering Orozco had just went the distance fighting for the 140-pound title against Jose Ramirez and gave him a tough fight. So I spoke to Vergil before the fight, and he felt that Orozco was going to be his toughest test to date. And early in the fight, it was very competitive. Orozco was able to catch Ortiz in spots, although Ortiz was in command. He was doing what he wanted to, but he wasn't landing anything crazy in those first 2 rounds. It was more so anytime he threw, the crowd got very excited. It wasn't like he was landing anything flush, but he started to get in his rhythm. And one thing I did notice, although Ortiz was able to stop his opponent in that 6th round, Ortiz is explosive. He's got explosive power, and he's got a mean streak. He's ferocious when he's in there. And that's something you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. Some guys are nice guys. Some guys, you can't be a nice guy in the sport. And Ortiz obviously knows how to turn that on. But when he throws punches, he does leave himself vulnerable. He does leave himself open. There were spots in the fight where Ortiz was back up against the ropes, and I heard people in the media section saying, "Get off the ropes. You can't stay on the ropes." And I agree with that. I think he needs to learn a little bit and take a page out of Hector, who we'll talk about in a little bit, as far as circling the ring and moving a little bit more laterally. Ortiz has gotten by mostly with his power and his ability to get guys out of there by standing straight in front of him and knocking him off, basically knocking him off in the center of the ring. And I thought in this fight, he got tagged a little bit early in the fight. He was never really in trouble at all. But I think this was a fight that we kind of realized, okay, maybe he's a few fights or, a couple years, maybe a year and a half away from that world title level. He's ranked 10th in the WBA. He's gonna start getting ranked in some of these organizations now. But even after the fight, he admitted that he's not ready for a guy like Errol Spence. He would love to fight maybe some of those contenders like a Danny Garcia, a Keith Thurman now, a Sean Porter. But as far as when the reporters after the fight asked him if he would like to fight Errol Spence, he openly admitted that he's not ready for a guy like Errol Spence. And he also said that he would like to see him fight Errol Spence at 154. He doesn't see him fighting him at welterweight at 147. So Ortiz does have some room to grow. He doesn't have to be rushed into a title shot. He's obviously going to take a few more fights before he gets to that stage, especially at welterweight. But overall, Ortiz, he's explosive, like I said. He's ferocious. He just needs to clean up a couple things, and mainly defensively, when he throws, he does leave himself vulnerable. Orozco wasn't the guy to completely capitalize on that, but to the people who saw the fight and were ringside, I think that's one thing we noted. Ortiz still work in progress, but definitely one of the top young prospects out there. He's not really a prospect anymore, but he's definitely one of the young up-and-comers out there to keep an eye on, and within the next 2 years should compete for that world title. But this was a fight that we all realized, okay, he's not quite there yet, but hopefully he makes some improvements. He's now training with Robert Garcia. Overall, he gets the TKO victory. He stopped Orozco, a game competitor, so you got to give him credit for that. The crowd was electric. He was fighting in his hometown of Grand Prairie, Texas, and overall it was a great fight. Now we move down to the undercards. The fight before that main event was Oscar Negrete versus Joshua Franco. It was a trilogy. It was their third time meeting. They had a draw in their first bout. Franco won the second fight, controversial by split decision, and then, that's exactly what happened. And then this was their third fight, and the fight actually ended up in another draw, basically a split draw. One judge had it 96-94 for Franco, another judge had it 96-94 for Negrete, and the last judge had it 95-95. I just find it crazy how it's a coincidence that each judge has it one way and then the middle judge has it a draw. It's just crazy to me that boxing works like that sometimes. But hey, I thought Negrete won the fight. I scored it 96-94. I actually have my scorecard right here, and I'll tell you why I scored it like that. I thought Negrete landed the more eye-catching shots. I thought throughout the fight he was the one landing the shots that snapped Franco's head back. And when I was looking at it, he was landing more of those punches throughout the fight than Franco was. There was a few rounds where Franco was able to box him and control the ring. But here's how I scored it. I scored the first 2 rounds for Negrete. I thought he came out very aggressive in that first round, and he even had Franco hurt early in that fight. I scored the 3rd round for Franco, the 4th round for Negrete, the 5th round for Franco, and then I scored 6th, 7th, and 8th round all for Negrete because I felt like it was that type of fight. He was the one who was landing the straight jabs, landing his right hand. He'll land an occasional hook. And Negrete was smothering his own offense at times, but overall, the guy who was going backwards was Franco. He was pushing Franco back most of the fight. The only time Franco really had success was when he would pivot out, get to the center of the ring, land his shots, and then basically move a little bit. I thought Franco should have been moving a lot more than he did, and I really felt that Negrete won the fight. I scored the last 2 rounds for Franco, so it was definitely competitive, but I thought throughout the fight Negrete deserved the victory, and I scored it 96-94 for Negrete. I spoke to both trainers of Negrete after the fight, and they just wanted to go in a new direction at this point. I asked them if they want to see a 4th fight between the two, and they said no. They think both fighters deserve to move on and find something new in their career. It was an entertaining fight. Neither guy backed down, but like I said, I thought Negrete won the fight. I thought he won the previous fight, so I think he got a raw deal in this fight. But nonetheless, it was a draw. It was an interesting fight. And that was my take on that one. And the last undercard fight that we saw was Hector Tanajara showcase from San Antonio, Texas. He put on a show. He was able to box his opponent for the full 10 rounds. And the one thing about Tanajara is, and I asked him before the fight what he felt was his strong suit, and he said it was his ring IQ. And it came to the forefront in the fight because not once in the fight was Tanajara in a spot where he was vulnerable. There was maybe 1 or 2 moments where he got tagged with the left hook, but throughout the fight he was in full control, controlling the distance with his jabs, his lead left hooks. One thing he does not really possess is strong power. He doesn't have that devastating power, but he has enough to keep his opponent off of him. He's a great boxer. I believe he improved to 18-0. He's only got 5 knockouts, so that should tell you enough about his power. But the way he moves around the ring and the way he has a sense in controlling distance, that's what really impresses me about Tanajara. He moves laterally along the ropes. He circles the ring. He knows how to pivot. He's just got a very great understanding on how to box and move. He started unleashing that right hand in variation, whether it was a straight right hand down the pipe as his opponent was coming in, or he even caught his opponent with some lead uppercuts when he was coming in. But I loved what I saw from Tanajara. He obviously, you know, we want to see knockouts and stuff, but in this situation, it's good to appreciate how this guy was able to box in the fight. And I recognize that, and the people in attendance definitely did. And ironically enough, Hata was asked who he would like to fight next, and he said that the only fight he wants is Ryan Garcia, and I applaud him big time for that. This is probably the third or fourth fight I've seen Hector fight, so I've seen him progress, and I've been critical of his power. I don't think he has much, but that's just the truth. But the boy can box, man, and I think if he does fight Ryan Garcia, Garcia's quickness and hand speed will give him some difficulties, but I think if he boxes him and does what he does, which is move, control distance, you know, I think it's a competitive fight. I think he gives Ryan a competitive fight at the very least. I think he'll give him some trouble, because Ryan's not going to be able to load up and basically catch him when he wants. You know, Ryan's going to have to be smart and set him up. He's going to have to feint. He's going to have to set him up for those big punches. And Hata, like I said, he has great control of distance. That's going to be very difficult to do. So I can see Hata frustrating Ryan early in the fight, but ultimately Ryan's going to have to show that he can, you know, box with him and land some of the harder blows, because Ryan's going to have the power advantage. He's going to have the hand speed advantage, but Hata has a wide base, and he's got great balance, and he's never really in a vulnerable position. So that's a very intriguing fight that I would love to see. I think Golden Boy needs to make that happen. Hata said that he hasn't turned down the fight. Ryan Garcia shouldn't either. So that's a fight I would love to see. Hector Hata, Ryan Garcia, make it happen. That could be a main event, and I bet people will definitely tune into that, and it'll be a very interesting fight. Well, that's all we have for this fight review. It's your boy Young Cantu. Make sure you follow me at AirShow15 on IG and Twitter. And you can also follow AirShow Sports on IG at AirShow Sports. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it. You know we're going to come back to you with some more content. And stay tuned.